Welcome back, everyone. Today's brown bag is Robin, who's going to be presenting about Figma.
Yeah. So thanks, Alfred. Hello, everyone. I guess we are recording the meeting, so hope everyone's know about it. And maybe let's start and make it a little bit more formal. So hello, everyone. Welcome to our brown bag, and bon appetit to those of you who are currently having a lunch. Today, brown bag will be about the Figma. My name is Robin. And you probably noticed that around Figma is pretty nice hype in the last time. I mean, it's pretty reliable because Figma is pretty cool tool and allows you to create amazing prototypes. And currently, right now, I'm looking on a list of points what I would like show you today. And just briefly, today we will have a look on fundamental elements as layers, groups, frames, and components. We will know the difference between them. Then I would like to show you some UI kits, which are already created sets of components that will speed you up in the process of your creation. After that, we will try to connect everything together and make a clickable prototype. And as most of us here are developers, so on the end I will focus on Figma projects from a developer perspective and give you some tips how to, in a fast way, check what's going on in a Figma prototype and give you some useful tips. So first thing, I'm sharing my screen, so I hope you see that. And first thing is how to run the Figma. Right now, I'm currently on figma.com, and if I click on login, I can use my Salsita account. I just land into the Figma, where here is the view with the recent projects. And if I would like to create a new project, I just click on the plus icon on the top right corner. For you who don't have any account on Figma, that will be probably the empty. I have some projects, the latest project listed here, but I would like to begin a new project. So let's call it as brown bag. And if you are curious, because we kind of creating the web apps, the Figma is written in a TypeScript, and all of those panels around and all the GUI, those are HTML elements, and just that canvas in the middle of the screen, that's canvas. And another possibility how to use Figma is also the desktop version. I kind of like it more because the desktop version, I have opened it here. The desktop version gives you ability to switch between your projects in tabs on the top. That's nicer than have more tabs open in Chrome, but that's just my personal opinion. So I will switch into Figma into desktop version, and I already see the brown bag project created here, so I open it. And it's everything, all assets are saved on servers in Figma, so you don't need to take care about downloading your projects or sharing the project. Everything is saved online, and you can easily share it with others just by copy and paste the link of the project. As you can see, I'm here twice because I have already opened the web version. I can close it and just go back, and I'm here just alone in the project. And let's focus right now on the fundamental elements. So here are some layers. I can create also some text. Make the text slightly bigger, then we can see that. Yeah. And in the left menu, I see those two layers. And I would like also show you what's the all possibilities, how you can arrange all items in the left menu. The pretty basic thing is group the layers together. If I press Ctrl G, it make group in the left menu. I know you are not able to see the shortcuts, so I will do it on with the right click. If I click on the right click, and if I group the selection, you can also see the shortcut here. It became like a group, and the group itself, they cannot have any properties. Only one thing what they can have is the name. So I can rename my group as it is here, and the groups cannot exist just by themselves. They have to have some content inside, and that's pretty useful if you have the bigger project. It helps you to make the project clean. And what I want to show you was more important. I think the groups are pretty obvious. I can also duplicate those groups. If I move the assets outside, the group disappears because the group cannot exist just itself. And I would like to show you the frame, which is another building block. And the frame is a little bit different. It could have some properties. For example, I can enable some fill. I can also set some stroke, make it more thick, or add some effects. It's a drop shadow. I'm not sure if you can see that drop shadow because here is the stroke. Let's remove it. Yes, so you can see the stroke. And the frame, from the design perspective, the frame, you can look on that like an artboard, and that will be pretty useful to know the difference later once we will prototype our artboards and connect them together. So the frames are the building blocks for your future prototypes. And about the dimensions, the frame can also have some dimensions, so I can resize it like that or like that. And what's pretty nice, I can also set for the frame, click content, and that behave like an overflow in CSS. Later, if I switch on a tab prototype, I can set also some scrolling behaviors, and that will help me later if I will create the prototypes with some crazy scrolling and some crazy effects, so then my prototype could be also scrollable. Okay, so I think this is pretty obvious, the difference between group and frames. And please bear in mind that frame are building blocks which you can connect together and just switch between them in later. And the difference you can see in the left menu with the icon. The frame have some kind of hash icon, and the group just a square icon. I hope you are able to see that. I have pretty small resolutions, so I hope if you maximize my screen, you are able to see the difference between the icon. And that's basically the building blocks what you can use for creating your prototypes. For sure, here is the more elements, rectangles, lines, yeah, all of that. Only one thing which is raster is image. Everything else is vector. Also, here is some pencil tool, so you can do some freehand drawing, but in the end, it became a vector. So if I just select it and click on the vector, you can see it became like vector. So you can edit it as a vector. So Figma is a vector tool. And honestly, you can do in Figma all vector editations, but usually if I would like to do something more complex, I end up in Illustrator, because the Illustrator is prepared for some editations, and Figma is a good tool for prototyping, but really for editing the vectors isn't the best one. But it's just my personal habit. For you, maybe you will be totally happy with the Figma and editing the vectors inside it. But for me, it's more easier to jump into the Illustrator. Maybe some of you right now got the idea, use the Figma also in design sprint, for example, for creating the wireframes, but I should recommend you to use Miro or the Google Whiteboard instead, because they are also optimized for sketching and you are not bothered with those layers here. And for example, if you would like change the color, you have to go in some properties and then change all parameters in the right side. So Figma is really good for prototyping, but for sketching and also some complex editations on vector, I think there are better tools for it. Okay, so right now it was just the basics, and I think that's pretty much everything what you need to know for drawing in Figma. There is nothing more. You basically use those components, those tools on the top, and that's everything what you need. Each prototype consists from those elements. And with that knowledge, you can create everything. Yeah, you just select something and check the properties in a right column, and there is no more. There is no more. But now let's focus on reusability, and especially in bigger projects that will help you a lot, because that's totally essential for big project to prevent a big amount of manual work with each change. So if you learn how to use components, then you can easily make changes also in big projects. So that's pretty advanced thing, and I would like to focus right now on making the components. So I delete already created layers, we don't need it. And so let's start with creating the components. We can create a button, for example. So let's start with typing the text. Let's frame my selection. Add some background into the frame. Some nice color. We are in Salsita, so something on red, maybe slightly pink. Oh my God, love it. Now change the. No. We need to select the text. Change the text color on white and make it also a little bit more prominent. That's pretty big, 14. That's look fine to me. The text and the frame itself, I just resize it to fit it to content. Now I have to zoom it. And if I will add auto layout into the frame, that allows me to add some paddings to my button. Right now it became looking more like a button. Also some border radius. So right now I'm pretty happy with my button. And I did one thing which is pretty important, and that's the auto layout. The auto layout allows me to exactly fit the size of the button while we change the text. So maybe let's edit it like that, yeah. And you can see if I edit the text, the button exactly fits the size of the text. It's pretty nice. It's pretty nice. And I'm pretty happy with my buttons. So if I create a component, right click and create a component, I can see here is the component and the icon change on the diamond. You can call it as button. And for example, right now I would like to do another button, which will be slightly different. So with Alt key, I just drag it and duplicate that layer. And as you can see, my button on the top, this is the master component. Diamond is kind of filled, and the instance of the component, it has also diamond icon, but it's empty. It's just the stroke of the diamond. And what I want to show you now, you have the master component. If you edit the master component, the instance change also. I can change also the color, and all properties will be propagated into the instance of the master component. I can also change some properties of the instance. For example, the text, I can also make it with different color, for example, the blue one. And then if I will change the master component, those values which I touched in an instance, they are not propagated, but everything else is propagated. So, for example, if I make the button bigger, that's still propagated, but not those changes what I touched. I can for sure reset the instance to the master component. So if I click on the reset instance, it became again the button. And that's how the master component and instances work. Okay, now in this point, I have a button. I would like maybe do more variants of my button. For example, this one could be outline, so I remove the fill, add some stroke, add some color. I can just pick the color like that. But what is even nicer, if you will define that color as, if you will name it and store the colors for later. So in the fill, I click on the icon where I can add my new color. I can call it primary. And in a palette of the colors, it became here like a new color, which is called primary. And then if I will jump here, I can remove the fill. And in a stroke, I can use the same color, the primary. I can do also the same for a text. So with fill, I'm using the primary color, and that's pretty useful later. It's a nice habit to name all colors what you use in with the names, because later I can just adjust the primary color and make it slightly different, for example, like that, and all colors will change in the same time. Okay, back to my button. I have button which is filled and button which is outlined, and I would like make another variant. So I create component again. Then you can see I have button inside the button, and if I call it like outlined, and the first button like contained, then I have two buttons which are named button / contained. That slash is pretty important because later, if I will create the instance of the main component, I see here in swap instance menu the options what I can change. So very easy, I can switch between the instances. And in this point, there is everything what you need to know about the components. And what I want to show you is already created kits, UI kits, which helps you with creating your awesome prototypes. For example, right now we are looking on iOS kit. Here are some pages, also pages for iOS, for iPhone 8, and here are the components itself. So if I, for example, look on the bars, they name it exactly same. Here is the iPhone XS /bars /status bar /default, and with that nicely named components, you create a structure in assets. So, for example, the button, all buttons are listed here, and I can easily swap between the instances. So it would be nice to see that. I can jump into iPhone X, maybe, yeah, let's have a look on the settings. And for example, here is the switch. And If I would like change it, I have options to make it off, and just easily on one click I can switch the instance between the components. I can even go somewhere else and maybe make it as a checkbox. So I can very easily to swap between the instances, and that makes my work way easier. So if I have already prepared components, as I did here, I can easily reuse it in the future. So that was the iOS kit. I would like to show you also something similar for Material UI. Here are the Material UI theme. What is here is some cover, getting started, components, and as you can see, here are the components also nicely named as top bar, and yeah, that will help you in the future. Okay, what's on my list? Yeah. So what I showed you was the components. It's pretty easy right now, but in real, to me, maybe healthier than I learn good habits how to use the components properly. And for example, that feature with swap instance, it's pretty new. It's just a couple of months in Figma, and right now that really helps me to manage also the bigger prototypes, simple, and if I do some change, it will propagate everywhere. And also if you, for example, prototype it, so if you make your button clickable on the master component, it will also, that connections propagate into the instances. So that helps you a lot. And in this point, there is no more what you need to know for creating. Yeah, there is no more what you can surprise you in a level menu. You know what's the layers, group, frames. You have also the idea how the component works. So with that knowledge, what you have right now, you are able to create just awesome prototypes. And one more thing what I want to show you is how to connect all of those things together and make it clickable. We will work with the prototyping tool. If I switch the tab here into prototyping tool, you can notice in each frame or each group has the little guy on the right side, which are the plus icon, so you can connect it. So let's start with something nicer and do it properly. We can start, if I click on the frame icon, I have some predefined devices. So let's say I will be doing the iOS app. So I can select the iPhone 11, let's make it 100%. And I have iOS frame here. I can place my button inside. Right now I feel like this button is pretty small because my app will be very easy. That will be just one button inside. So I a little bit make it bigger. I will use scale tool, which scales all properties inside. Nice, I'm pretty happy with that. Let's align it nicely. Yes, maybe rename it. Yeah, the thing is, if you use the scale tool, right now you can see the text doesn't fit into the button. So I need to go back into the master component, and as I scale it, I have to set again the auto width. Then it will fit exactly into my button. Maybe make it on the center, align it again. Right now, I'm pretty happy with that frame. And as I already showed you that kits for iOS, it will be nice also make some top bar. Yeah, let's grab this, Control C, Control V. Bang. Right now I have top bar in my app. Let's also grab some bottom menu. Where it is. Okay, this one looks good. Copy and paste into my project. And right now I'm kind of happy with my prototype. Here's just the one button, some top bar and bottom bar. And if you would like to see that, you can click on the play icon to present. And a new tab appears on the top. And you can see your iPhone app in a nice frame. And it also is the button. Right now it's not working because I didn't add any actions. And I would like to mention, here's some frame. On the beginning, I already selected iPhone X. And if you select the size of the frame from the predefined options, you can also later change just a moment. You can also change the frame of the device. For example, right now it's gold selected. If I switch it on space gray, the frame will change. It's pretty nice. I kind of like this feature. And right now it's time to make it more complex, make it clickable. So let's copy this frame. And after the click, I will go here. Let's delete this button and place some text here. I want to make it a little bit bigger. Where's the text? Like that. Align it into the middle. And if I connect it in prototyping, so after I click on the button, I will like go into this frame. So I just drag and drop that connection and select on top. I will navigate to this iPhone 11 frame, and the animation will be, let's say, dissolve, easy out, that's fine, 300 milliseconds. I'm happy with that. What happened if I present that? If I click on the button, yeah, it just jumped on the other frame with some animation which took 300 milliseconds, and that's it. That's pretty easy. And I don't have any chance to go back, so I click on the arrows on the bottom, and it works like that. Good. If I would like to do something more complex, let's say add another button. So let's just drag it here, rename it. I don't know, like that. Okay, I'm kind of happy with it. Let's align it nicely and maybe move it. Here, I'm not happy with that spacing between the buttons, so let's adjust it. Oh, that's a pretty nice feature. I just jump a little bit on the side from the prototyping, and for example, you select more layers. You can adjust the spacing between the layers with that little tiny guy in between those layers. And as you can see, there is more options how to change it. You can see on the right panel that value also changes. So I just try to adjust the spacing here. And what I want to show you, you can drag and drop with the mouse and the value will change. And sometimes it's very hard to set the exact value. Yeah. So if you move your mouse down, that arrow became smaller, and right now it's more precise, the changing of the value. On the other side, if I move the mouse on the top, that arrow became bigger, and right now I go for bigger steps. So that allows me to do some crazy value very fast, in fast way, but I would like to make it more precise. So I'm happy with that. Yes, bang, it's done. Okay, let's go back into the prototyping. I would like also add action if I click on the secondary button. So I just duplicate that frame. Let's say by. Just align it into the center. And if I switch into prototype tab and connect those two windows, navigate, dissolve is out. It's the same like before. Switch into the prototyping. Looks like that. Oh, that's perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. I don't have any options how to go back. So let's do it and make it a little bit more complex. Let's say if I would like click on this frame, doesn't matter where I will click. So let's select the whole frame. Let's connect it to by. Again on top, navigate to my next frame. Yeah, I'm happy with that. And from the by, somehow go back. Let's drag it into the first frame. And let's say we can do also after delay. We can increase that value on 150 milliseconds. That will be fine. And if I play it, we can check what happened. Yes. So again, if I'm clicking on that, it jumps, redirect me into next frame. And if I click on that frame, it moves me into the last frame, but after delay, I'm back again on the main screen. Okay. Right now, that was pretty much everything related to prototyping. You got an idea how to do it. And there is no more things what you need to know for creating prototypes. Right now, you know pretty much everything, and you can begin with your work. There is no more things. Nothing can surprise you. Okay, what I want to show you next. Yeah, I have one note in my points, and that's the thing. With the prototyping, Figma is pretty good and simple for prototyping, but if you like do some complex animations, Figma isn't the best tool for that, especially the timeline missing. And I really cannot compare it with other tools because I don't have too much experience with all of those. But just in InVision, you have a timeline where you can adjust separate timing and separate easing for each layer. So in Figma, if you like do something more, it's very hard, or you just need to make the process of the animation, make it from more steps, but still it cannot overlap between the animations. So in general, you can specify almost everything like the appearance of the design in Figma, but related to the animations, you would like to do something more complex. I guess the Figma isn't the best tool for specifying the animations. But on the other side, there is a pretty nice tool which is called Smart Animate, and it allows you to do nice animation in a very fast way, but it's not for each case. So the animation in Figma, I will be very glad if they introduce the timeline. So that will be my wished improvements for Figma.